Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. And today we got some really surprising news coming from Twitter, of all places, regarding the next big update, the next full update for Marvel Future Fight. Now, a little bit of background before we get into it. Normally, every year, starting back in, I think, 2016, we had announcements for new content coming in San Diego Comic-Con. We had Gwenpool announced in 2016, then we had Apocalypse in 2017, and then I believe we had Deadpool in 2018. But this last year we had nothing at San Diego Comic-Con. Additionally, every single year we've never had anything Marvel Future Fight related at New York Comic-Con. And it's important to make that distinction between San Diego Comic-Con and New York Comic-Con because both of the Comic-Cons will have Marvel games there, and both Comic-Cons will have other announcements of other games, but at least historically, certain games have only been at one con versus another. So for example, Marvel Contest of Champions doesn't really announce very much, if anything, at San Diego Comic-Con, but they always have a huge booth, and this year it's bigger than ever at New York Comic-Con, and they announce new content, or they show off, tease new content. They have like contests and giveaways at New York Comic-Con. So New York Comic-Con is kind of like MCOC's turf. Until now, which is kind of bizarre. So let's jump over to Twitter and see what is up. So a couple of hours ago, Marvel Games tweeted out, and this is obviously on purpose, "Hey Marvel Future Fight, do you have any cool surprises at New York Comic-Con this year?" And then of course, as the marketing thing goes, they replied, "We are cooking up something big, maybe even giant. See you and Danny Koo," who is one of the senior producers at Marvel, and he is personally responsible for characters like Luna Snow, Sharon Rogers, Crescent, and Io. So that's, you know, all Marvel Future Fight characters at the Marvel Games panel on Friday. So we will know exactly what is going on. Presumably, we will be able to see, or we will get reports of it from New York Comic-Con on Friday. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be there. I'm finding out about this right now, just like you guys are. I was a little bit bummed out personally that I wasn't at least given a hint to maybe check out New York Comic-Con. Hey, maybe you want to go to New York Comic-Con, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But yeah, no, I was completely, surprised by this, as you were. So yeah, and then Danny Koo responds as well with by retweeting the Marvel Future Fight tweet, and he says, "Good ... idea ... arg, need this, working on it." So this is sort of a cryptic message. Danny likes to tease us. Danny likes to give sort of subtle hints about what content could be coming based on what he says. And usually, you know, something of what he says has something to do with the update. Now, working off of this and working off of the word giant, we can really, well, I can really only come up with two ideas. So right away, I encourage you guys, if you have better ideas, if you have other ideas, definitely hit me up down below in the comments and let me know what you think. But from this, I basically worked up two different ideas. So the idea of giant, in addition to the fact that Danny Koo is going to be there and he's responsible for a lot of the Asian heroes. We're talking Sharon Rogers, who's half Asian. We're talking Luna Snow, who's Korean, and Crescent and Io, who's also Korean. And also we had a hand in the White Fox stuff, who is, I think, also Korean, with the last update where there was like a special message from Danny Koo during the Facebook live stream, and then there was sort of a manila folder, and then inside the folder there was the new comics with the sort of variant covers that Inhyuk did, who is the new artist for Marvel Future Fight. So you can kind of see how all of these things sort of connect together. You've got Danny Koo, you've got these Asian heroes who are also in Marvel Future Fight, you've got the new art director, or the new sort of artist for Marvel Future Fight doing variant covers for the comics. And then the last piece of the puzzle that I want to introduce you guys to now is my first theory, Agents of Atlas update. So this is my first idea, and this is an ongoing series right now. It hasn't ended yet. It features a lot of the Asian Marvel characters, and of course you've got right here three prominent ones. You've got Amadeus Cho, who's Korean, you've got Luna Snow, who's Korean, and then you've got Cindy Moon, who I believe is Chinese, but she might be Korean. I actually don't know on that one. It's Silk. Anyways, it's Silk. I'm pretty sure she's Chinese, but anyways, I shouldn't have said anything. Okay, so it doesn't matter where they're from. Anyways, all that matters is that all three of these characters are in Marvel Future Fight. We haven't seen a uniform for Silk in a long time. Luna has a uniform, which I think she's wearing right here. And then, actually, Amadeus Cho is known as Brawn now. He changed his name. He doesn't want to be Hulk anymore. or whatever. So he actually has a new uniform. So he could be getting a new uniform. The reason why I bring this update up as a possibility and I connect to the word giant and I connect it to Danny Koo is because, of course, this comic series, this Agents of Atlas, features pretty much every single character that Danny has worked on in one way or another. So you can see here it's sort of cut off, but we've got Luna Snow over here. If we could scroll over to the side, if I can scroll over, we've got Wave, who was introduced by Danny in the Philippines. We've got Crescent and Io, and then I'm not sure if White Fox makes an appearance here, but she's also been sort of an honorary member of the Agents of Atlas as well. So on top of that, you also have existing characters like Shang-Chi and Silk here, so there's a possibility they could be getting uniforms. You have Jimmy Woo over here, who is a field agent, but he could also be included. You got Swordmaster, you got Arrow, who is Chinese. So there's a possibility not only for a lot of new uniforms, but for a lot of new characters as well. If we keep going on through the actual comic, and I've actually read these already, we have another character introduced here, whose name is Isaac Ikeda. But we have these sort of giant monsters attacking in these different cities. So they call them dragons, but they're actually wyverns. But anyways, you've got giant creatures attacking, so that could be the basis for some sort of new content, some sort of new game mode, or some sort of update to an existing game mode that includes this and includes sort of a tie-in with Agents of Atlas. But on top of that, from the idea or the perspective of Giant, you have this new Giant Man. I can't remember his name. It's it's something with an M. Roy something. I'm so bad with names. Anyways, I scrolled back up and realized it's right here. Raz Malhotra. So yeah, he is the new Giant Man, and he's been also made an Agent of Atlas extremely recently. He's been made sort of an honorary member in the Agents of Atlas. So this could be referring to the giant portion of the tweet by Marvel Future Fight, and then the connection to Danny Koo would be characters like, you know, his original Luna Snow and Crescent and Io. We've also got White Fox, not that she's here, but she's, you know, she exists in the same realm and she's sort of closely connected to a lot of these characters. And then of course also Wave. And then there's a whole bunch of new characters that could be coming, and then existing characters like Shang-Chi and Silk could be getting updates, and Amadeus Cho could be getting updated uniforms to sort of fit this update. So I think this is a pretty good idea, and I think this is a pretty good theory for a potential update. Personally, I don't like it, because while there are quite a few characters that are involved, and I like these characters personally, I don't think that this update is really, I mean, I don't think it's really thematic, it's not really Halloween themed, and I think that a lot of these characters are either very new in the case of Wave, or they're already very powerful in the case of Luna Snow. I would love to see an update for Shang-Chi, Silk, and Amadeus Cho personally, but I honestly don't really care for another Giant Man. I mean, we've got Ant-Man who can become giant, we've got Giant Man, we've got Pimtron. Do we really need another? We also have Goliath, who can't even get to level 70. So do we really? I mean, I forgot about Goliath as I was listing those characters off. But I mean, do we really need another Giant Man? I really don't think we do. This doesn't really scream exciting to me. This doesn't really scream Halloween to me. I'm not that excited. I don't know. I'm not that excited thinking about this, but I have to see how Marvel Future Fight puts a spin on it. But I'm just trying to make that clear. Still, you know, a lot of these characters, especially these three right here, are very deserving of an update. They've been garbage for a long time. And if they did some sort of game mode around sort of more mythical creatures like wyverns or other sort of giant monsters, sort of like Monsters Unleashed a little bit, I think that would be cool, because we don't fight a lot of those creatures in Marvel Future Fight. We fight a lot of the same villains, so that would be a refreshing change. The second theory that I have is a lot less likely, but if we go back briefly to what Danny said, he used this idea, he was like, good idea, ARG need this. It's a really weird way of writing this and working on it. There are no pronouns, like there's no I or we or, you know, any sort of thing to identify, you know, we are working on it or I'm working on it. It's sort of devoid of that sort of language. So this is a really weird way of talking. And so if you take this, and it seems like they're either in pain or they're struggling with something, maybe they're like not in control of their body. Anyways, these are loose theories, obviously. I don't mean to read too much into what Danny's writing, but if we take that idea and we sort of run with it, what is the most talked about and what is the most requested, the most highly requested Halloween update ever? Of course, It's the Symbiotes. Now, I know that I have a history of sort of crapping on the Symbiotes because way back in 2017 when everyone thought it was a Symbiote update, I was like, no, it's an X-Men update, and it turns out I was right. And frankly, I would never trade the X-Men for the Symbiotes. No offense to you Symbiote fans, but the X-Men are way cooler. But this would be, in my opinion, way cooler than Agents of Atlas. Now, this is still also in work. Like, it's not done yet. Absolute Carnage is on its third or fourth issue, so it's definitely still being done. But it's another comic book tie-in that is likely, if you sort of read into and you extrapolate on the way that Danny was talking. Now, the whole giant thing is a bit of a stretch. Yeah, a lot of the times the symbiotes are drawn at different sizes or different, shapes, and they sort of take on these larger than life forms, and you have Null and you have all this stuff. So you can definitely read into it, and you can definitely draw a lot of comparisons from the word giant and based on what Danny Ku said. But other than that, it's very, very thin, and so we don't really have much else to go on. Netmarble has never done a symbiote-themed update. They've shown extremely little love. They've shown very little love, if any, if you could call it love at all, to any of these symbiotes in the game. I mean, yeah, they gave Venom an anti-Venom uniform, which makes him a good striker, but that was years ago. They only updated Agent Venom, in my opinion, because he's a paywall to make him just a little bit stronger, but even then, they didn't even make him that much stronger, and he's a paywall. Carnage has literally never been worked on, and he's the original paywall character, I believe. Carnage was the first ever paywall introduced. So the fact that, we basically have 3 symbiotes in the game, and between them, they've had 3 uniforms. 2 for Venom, and one of them is the Zombies one, which is garbage. So 3 uniforms for 3 different symbiotes over 4 years is absolutely insane. Venom was in the game when it came out, so, it's not like he is a recently introduced character. Carnage was introduced like 3 years ago. One of my first videos on YouTube was talking about Carnage and comparing him to Hyperion, so that guy is mega old. And then Agent Venom is also like 2 years old now because he was in the last year's anniversary update along with, I believe, Mantis, but I might be wrong. But anyways, yeah. I would love to see them do a symbiote-themed update. I know a lot of you guys would as well. These also remind me of the symbiotes and the way that they do these sort of generic enemies in Marvel Contest of Champions. You guys know that I have a lot of respect for what the developers over at MCOC do with their game, despite the issues that the game has, or despite the gacha mechanics of obtaining characters. I do think that there's a lot of gameplay innovation that Netmarble could borrow from MCOC and inject into Marvel Future Fight with nodes, with creating game modes and creating new content that is literally accessible by all of your roster in different forms and different shapes. Having content where you need specific heroes or you need specific things that only specific heroes have in order to complete the content, i.e. this boss is only going to take damage from, or is going to take 95% reduced damage from everything except for poison and bleed, which immediately makes characters like Blade and Green Goblin amazing, whereas otherwise in all of the existing content in Marvel Future Fight, they're absolute trash tier characters who can't complete anything, without insane help. And when I say complete anything, I'm talking about Villain Siege and story mode stuff. So, personally, and sort of as far as the history of the game goes, it's a far cry for a symbiote update, but that I think would be the one that the community would be most excited for, because we've literally been waiting 4+ years for it. But I think the Agents of Atlas one, personally, is more likely in my opinion, given the sort of purposeful text of giant. But anyways, let me know what you think of these 2 ideas. Let me know what you think it's going to be. We will find out on Friday. So I believe that I will be, I think I'll be streaming on YouTube on Friday, and I'll try to get maybe some people who are at New York Comic Con to give me some information if they can attend that panel, and we can get some information, or if it leaks or if it gets posted in some shape or form, so that we can have a live reaction to it as well. Hit me up in the comments down below with your theories and what you think of mine as well. Subscribe if you enjoy the content, you want to support me. Hit the bell, and then hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. I'm so bad at self-promotion. Take care.